Alright guys, so next thing we're going to do is fit these handguards. These are the SVD handguards that I showed previously, and we're going to have to modify them so that they fit the PSL. This rear cap is made by DSM Labs. Unfortunately, DSM Labs isn't around anymore, and they don't make these anymore. I've seen a couple guys on some of the forums saying that they're going to start making their own for sale, although I've never seen it actually happen yet. So basically what this is it fits to the front of the receiver so that near the rear sight block, so that the rear of the handguards for the SVD will fit up against it, fit inside, and it will do a nice blended transition into the PSL receiver. So that take care of the rear end. However, the opening here that would normally go over the SVD rear sight block is too narrow, so I'm going to have to open it up. I already scribed some marks on here on what I need to cut. It's not very much. You probably can't see it. It's pretty light even for me. So once I get that cut, I can put that on and test fit. And the instructions that came with this when I bought it said that these reinforcing ribs inside the SVD handguard will need to be trimmed off as well, ground out, so that it'll close all the way over the PSL gas tube. And since I have a heavier profile barrel, I may need it all carved out in here to fit that as well. But we'll find out when I get to that. So first thing I'm going to do is open this up and then test fit. Okay, so got the SVD handguard one side set up in the vise with some soft jaws, and I have it set so that the top line of the handguard is upright and straight. So, because I want to cut as straight of a line as I can. I'm just going to use the good old Dremel here with the cutoff wheel, and we're going to go at it. I'm going to cut up until I get kind of close to where the curvature is, and then I'll stop and go in that with a file so I can make this curvature blend and be nice and smooth. Alright, these things tend to work better when they're plugged in, I found. So now that I got it plugged in, now we'll do it. Put my safety glasses on. Don't want a hot piece of polymer hitting me in the eyeball. And we'll go. Wow, this stuff is nasty. I don't know if you could see that on there, but look at all those little fibers that are sticking to it. Just I've never actually cut a plastic that sticks like this. Really weird. Maybe better off just going at this with a file. Ooh, that's hot. So maybe we'll do that instead. Alright, so got them done. At first, using that cutoff wheel, it was not working out. It made these cuts really wonky. And so I didn't show everything because I was trying a bunch of different things, and I didn't want to take an hour of this of video, me just trying to figure out the best way I can make a straight cut. But the easiest thing I found was to put this in the vise this way, so the jaws are clamping like this, leaving this portion here that we wanted cut, and then using the stone to just go in like this and just swipe it, go in like that constantly, because I found that the cutting disc clogged up with the plastic really easily. The sanding drums clogged up even faster, and then the stone barely clogs up at all, even at high speeds and getting really and melting on. There's a little spot right here where it did, but nothing too bad. And with the stone, it matched the shape in here and the curvature pretty well. So if you're gonna do that, I would just do that. Or if you're gonna do this, I mean. And so then I went in with some hand files, a chainsaw file to get into this rounded corner, and to just break these edges of the melted plastic that's rolling over the edge. And so now that I did that, the two, I mean, they're still not perfectly straight, but definitely a lot better than what they were when I was trying it with the cutting disc. It was just really wavy lines. So going in with that stone really did help that, and it opened it up. And so when we got the DSM Labs SVD to PSL adapter here, and as you can see, I pressed the barrel into the front trunnion and the rear sight block just for this fitting process. The DSM Labs adapter slides behind it and will come down and sit like that. And so now when we put the handguards on, try and get all this in here. So there's the handguards installed. As you can see, it makes a nice transition. The receiver will be right down here, and there we go, clipped in. The receiver will be right here, and so it'll make a nice smooth transition down there, especially when I paint it black. It goes all the way up to the front here, and you can see that the cutout looks pretty good. It leaves a big gap here, but that's the cutout went all the way up to here anyway, so nothing I could really do about that. So that's where we're at. So now we're going to start working on the front retainer here, which is going to be a lot more involved. And on a side note, the gas tube lever lock here, or lock lever, in the instructions for this, it says that you have to cut a triangle piece out of here so that this lock lever can go down and lock and not get in the way, because as of right now it can't go down because the handguards are blocking it. I'm not going to do that. I have another plan for it, but I'm going to save it for later, because if it doesn't work out, I don't want to say I'm going to do it. But essentially what I'm thinking of is removing this lock lever altogether and using a push pin, a spring-loaded detent push pin to lock that up, the same that I want to do with the front handguard retainer, so it'll be uniform. Again, I don't know if that's going to work. I have to find if they make spring or detent retainers in this size for this. I believe this rear hole appears 7mm, and the front handguard one is 5, I think, 4 or 5. So, I mean, if I can't get the spring retainer and I do remove this, I can always just do a push pin that goes through with a nut on the other side to hold it. But I want it to be quick detach, quick push the pin in, or so you can quickly push it in and out. But yeah, we're gonna find out if that's gonna work or not. So, all right, I'll start setting up so we can work on the front handguard retainer. All right, something else I just ran into and figured out. Um, I know I mentioned it before that these ribs inside these strengthening ribs here will have to be removed, but it looks like they don't need to be removed. It's these locating tabs here on the top that need to be removed. I just tried test fitting it onto the gun with the onto the barrel with the gas tube in place, and it's these that are keeping it from closing all the way. So I'm going to have to grind these off, maybe a little bit of the reinforcing ribs here on the bottom or at the top. I don't see it as being a problem getting rid of these two locating tabs because these three on the bottom will still be there. They don't seem to really affect or get in the way, even with the heavier barrel that I have. They don't seem to get in the way, but they might once I get these off and try and test fit it again. If that's the case, then we'll have to grind these out as well. I don't plan on using this in combat, so I don't really see that I'm going to need to have the reinforcements there. This is just going to be a range toy, so we'll grind these out, and then I'll come back and show when it's done how much had to be removed for it to fit. Alright guys, so after a lot of cutting, I think I finally got this where I want it. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see. Again, the lighting in here isn't the best, but I cut out all of this reinforcing rib and a lot of the side bulk right here as well in order to get these other side as well, to get these to close all the way, as well as have enough clearance for the gas tube to move upwards so it can fit into the gas block. Turns out I didn't have to do anything to the bottom for the barrel. The barrel sits just on these metal bumps here in the front handguard, and it just so happens that it doesn't really touch anything, so that's good. And another thing, like I said, when I was working on it, I don't know what kind of plastic the Russians are using, but this stuff is nasty. It's surprisingly tough too, so I'm not too worried about heat from these things once I actually got them installed and start shooting this thing. But yeah, so just keep in mind and be prepared that you're gonna have to do quite a bit of cutting and grinding in order to get these things to fit. And previously I said that and there goes that, but man, every video I think I drop something. But previously I said that DSM Labs doesn't make the rear cap anymore. One thing I forgot to mention is if you wanted to do this, you still can. You just have to get an actual SVD rear cap, and you can get those from suppliers in Russia, on Gunbroker sometimes, or even eBay. And even if you can get like an airsoft version, that should work because it's not a critical part. So the only difference, or the thing with using the SVD rear cap that's supposed to go on the actual rifle, is it's not going to have that nice transition into the receiver, the smooth transition. It's going to go, stop, abruptly stop, down, then the receiver starts. But I mean, really, you still get the overall look of using SVD handguards. So, and that's really the most important part. So you still can do it if you can't find one of those DSM Labs rear handguard caps. So now that I got this done, I'm going to start making the front handguard retainer and hopefully get that finished today. So let's get to it.